welcome to another episode of the Cardboard Champs. Today is the Kaldheim episode, and I am your host, Alex, and I'm also joined by...
Adam, a.k.a. Dueling Spuds.
Welcome. How you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing well. We really decided we wanted to get in the Kaldheim theme and be cold this morning. As we don't have a heater on where we're currently recording at.
Yeah, we don't have a heater. It's cold. Your boy's wearing shorts. Made a big mistake. Had to go back inside to put socks on. So I'm doing the socks with no what's it called? Socks with flip flops.
He's got the socks and flip flops.
Socks and flip flops. Well, today is Kaldheim. We want to talk a little bit. Today is the official release.
Yep.
It's been out on Arena for a week, so the pre-release was last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pretty good turnout at our local LGS, I believe.
Yep. A lot of people buying boxes, pre-release kits, that and the other. Yeah.
Nice. That's good. That's good to hear when things are taking off. So we want to talk about the cards that people are playing, the decks that people are playing right now in Arena, and some of the trickery that's going on.
Pun intended.
Pun intended that time. Yeah. I'm proud of that one. And then we also want to talk a little bit about the lore, about what's going on in the plane, so especially with the Magic story, because they're doing their Magic again, or WotC, I should say. They're starting to do those little snippets of story every week like they used to back in the day. And I think they're doing a pretty good job of it. So we want to touch. We'll try to keep it spoiler free. So if you guys want to know more about the story, let us know, and we'll dedicate an episode to that. But we'll just do short bits today.
I think that's really cool. The way Wizards does stuff, like with so it's not just a card, right? Like a lot of these cards tell a tiny piece of the story as what's actually happening. A lot of the, you have your planeswalkers and your named cards, obviously. But if you look at like the flavor text on the cards or the different things like story spotlight stuff, you actually learn that this is more than just us sleeving up cardboard and casting spells. It's it's got a whole story behind it.
Yeah. I think definitely one of the cool things about Magic, and I 100% think that Magic is the nerdiest out of all the card games. Not a bad thing. I don't think nerd's a bad thing anymore.
No, absolutely not.
But the reason why I say that is because if you think it at face value, what are you when you're playing Magic? You are a planeswalker yourself playing against another planeswalker.
Yep.
Your library, your cards are your spells that you know, and you're slinging them to each other until one of you kills each other.
Yep.
Obviously, that's not what's happening. You're not actually killing each other, but in a sense of role play, it's kind of what you're doing. Yeah. So, and I think that's really cool. That's something I always gravitated again towards Magic. What makes Magic really interesting and fun.
Yep. So that back and forth. Some people, like, we play D&D as you guys know, and it's kind of like that, but in cardboard form in a way. Yeah. You kind of express yourself through your deck choices, through the cards, and me myself, I like to not let other people have fun a lot of the times when I play Magic.
He likes playing stacks into Teferi.
I play literally all the control cards. If it has blue in it and it has white in it, I'm probably playing it, and we do splash black in there sometimes for the spice.
I used to be a control player a lot too. I used to play Esper Control was my thing.
Yeah, Esper.
But I prefer Esper Control when it's in the power down formats than how Magic has been in the last 2 years.
Dominaria Standard.
Yeah, Dominaria Standard was not fun. But
it was,
even though I did play Esper Control during that time, I didn't enjoy winning with Teferi. But it happens, Yeah. I liked Esper Control back when Cons was out, where you had Silumgar, and that was a win con, and you had Ojitai, which was your win con.
Esper, for those that don't know, is the combination of... so you have 5 color combos, for those that maybe are listening and aren't as versed in Magic. You have blue, green, red, black, and white, and colorless for things like artifacts and stuff. And the color combo blue, white, and black is probably one of the biggest control trios, if you will. And the shortcut name is Esper. So,
it's basically there was a set back in the day where they first combined the colors together, and then I believe Espers are allies.
I'm not sure. I think
so. He's looking that up, but I believe they're ally colors. Basically, what that means, if you look at the back of your Magic card, there's the 5 colors right next to each other. And if you take the pairings, if they're next to each other, they're allies. If they're across from each other and make a triangle, they're actually considered enemies, and they create a wedge. It's a really cool thing. So if, like I said, they're next to each other, they create a shard. If they are in a triangle, they create a wedge. And that's how you decide whether they're allies or enemy colors. So that set had Esper together, and then they just happened to the tribe that they were part of. It was called Esper, so they just kept up going. A little bit of magic lore there, and so. But now, thanks to how Wizard has been implementing green, I definitely think green is my crutch. I like green. Green does everything.
Green is one of the best colors right now, as far as like most formats go.
Yeah, green just does everything. It ramps, it draws, it has big critters.
We still can't get rid of Oko.
Yeah. It turns things into elks.
Yep.
Oko Bibroko.
Oko is insane.
But back to the
Kaldheim.
Yep. What we're discussing today. So a little bit about the lore. If you're a big fan of Kaya and Tybalt,
which I am,
this is the set for you. If you like the Praetors of the Phyrexians, they're making a comeback, baby. Now, a little bit of a backstory on Phyrexians as well. So, Phyrexians, think about them as similar to aliens from Aliens.
Like actual aliens.
Yeah,
like Alien versus Predator.
The Xenomorphs.
Yep.
Think of them very similar to Xenomorphs, except less chest bursty and more we just spread everywhere.
Just insane.
Yeah. So they're a combination of metallic virus, essentially. So it's a virus that can spread to anything that's organic. And their whole mission is to spread to the whole universe, essentially.
Yep.
And the Praetors are like the apex predators of the Phyrexians. So these are, if you had like the Xenomorph, grandmother, they would be these guys, So Vorinclex has somehow managed to get into Kaldheim. And
he is the green based for Praetor.
So he managed to get somehow into Kaldheim. Kaya has been hired to hunt down Vorinclex without her knowledge. They just told her she had to hunt down a beast, and was paid with a lot of money, obviously. But the money came from different planes. So we're talking about money from Ravnica, money from Innistrad. So we're not really sure who or whom is the one who hired her. So that's a mystery in itself. Tybalt's involved, and if you read the story last week, it was discovered why he got involved or how he got involved, and why he's doing what he's doing. Which, in a sense, is kind of nice to see Tybalt back. Tybalt has been a meme in the Magic scene for a long time because his first card is awful. His second card wasn't that bad, and then his third card is we'll talk about it later because they came out this set and it's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. So the basic story is Kaya's here hunting a beast. The beast turns out to be Vorinclex. We're trying to find out why Vorinclex is where he is. More than likely just spreading his seed because that's just what he does. And Kaya needs to hunt him down. Tybalt is somehow involved, and the story just gets bigger from there, really.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to. This is basically your general outline. Man, I'm super pumped to find out like who's behind it. I really enjoy the Praetors. I would like the Phyrexian cards, and so I'm really interested to see also too if they tie in more than just Vorinclex, which would be really cool.
And this is my theory crafting. Woo-hoo. So my theory is that Magic has us outlined for the next few sets, and for the most part, they are one-ofs. So I think we're going to see a Praetor in every single set from here on out. And then it's going to culminate into a big showdown in the middle set of next year of 2022.
I could see it. It's definitely something Wizards would do. They every time they release a new set, like I'm like, why'd they put this card in here? Especially if it didn't have any kind of like support, or maybe it's a tribal theme or something. So like Core 21 brought us, what was her name? The one drop Thieves Guild Enforcer.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's like some okay rogues in this set. Like I don't know what they're kind of going for. And then they released, what was the last set? Ikoria. No, Zendikar
Rising.
Zendikar Rising.
Rogues finally came.
And then they had the rest of the rogues, and man, that deck's pretty good. So
yeah, I find the way they make cards to be really interesting. Like you said, and then what makes it even better is once rotation occurs, they'll lose half their things, and then the other half will stay. So if you want to keep playing that type of deck, you can. It's just not as strong.
You have to change it to adjust to the meta.
So it's interesting. I like the way they decide to design their card space. Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a little bit more my background, it's the same thing. They're doing interesting things in their card design. So we're looking forward to just if you ever decide to do if you ever decide to do card games, just the last few years of just specifically Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, they've been getting really, really, really
creative,
and that's kind of cool. So Kaldheim, you've been playing it, right?
Oh man, probably got like, what am I? Am I in platinum already? I don't even know. I lose track.
I guess platinum would be the next.
I think it's platinum, then diamond, and then mythic.
Yeah. So, in arena they do. If you decide to play on the ladder, which is considered the best of the best players, ranked.
Yep.
You start in bronze, you go to silver, then you go to gold, then you go to platinum, then you go to diamond, and then you're mythic.
Yep.
So our boy here is stuck in the middle.
Yeah, I didn't play a whole lot. I played more sealed. I do play more sealed just in general. Draft formats. It's for me that's the most fun. Is just kind of randomly getting cards, whether if it's sealed or if you're playing like the draft where you get to pick. The kind of the thought process that goes behind it, and every draft is different. So
yeah, and just a little background on what draft and sealed means. Sealed is essentially taking a certain amount of packs, usually it's roughly around 3 to 5 packs,
so
and
you it's 6 in sealed. Yeah,
so
unless you're drafting it.
Yeah, it's 6 packs as a whole. You pick them up, you open them, you make a deck out of those 6 packs.
Yep.
Draft is you have a pod, which is a circle of 8 people. Usually, is how you want to do a draft.
Yep.
So, circle of 8 people. Each person has 3 packs. You open a single pack. You pick up 1 card out of that pack, and then you pass that whole pack that you just opened to the right, and then you make a card selection from there, and you continue the process until you finish that pack, and then you do the next pack, and then do the whole process over and over again. I personally also agree. I think draft is a lot of fun. I prefer playing draft over any other format other than Commander. Commander is easily the best format, I feel like, in Magic.
Yeah, because Commander can be kind of whatever you want it to be. It can be casual, it can be competitive. I think the spirit of Commander is more casual. It's more hanging out with your friends and getting to play together.
And then making them buy better cards.
Yeah,
I think Commander has the most interesting thing about it is where
money doesn't equal wins.
Money does.
Well, sometimes.
No, I think it doesn't. But as the spirit of card games, we have gotten. I think it's safe to assume people assume the more money you spend on it, the more you can win.
Which does take into, I would say this 40% of it.
Yes.
Is probably money,
and the other 80% is skill.
That's 120.
we go above 100 here.
We go above 100. 80% of the time, if you spend a lot of money on your deck, you're probably going to get hated off the table. I'm just kidding.
Always.
That's not true.
Always.
That's not true.
Nah.
A little bit. But anyway, so back to Kaldheim, back to Arena. Played a lot of it. I've played quite a bit of Limited rather than Constructed so far, just because I don't like throwing down big money to open packs on there. The Arena is the digital client for Wizards, and I enjoy drafting and gaining cards that way, because I get to play some of the new cards. Like I said, it's not as money hungry if you win, so you can just keep drafting over and over again with the currencies, the in-game currencies that you get from drafting. The better you do, the more you get. I think if you get like 5 wins, 4 wins, you basically get your entry back, and then up to 7, I think you can get almost double your entry, which is really nice. And so, mostly drafting. As we know, there's some really new cool cards from the set. Really excited to actually. So the few decks I've played, I built a couple of things so far. I've played. I think Jeskai Control is my favorite. I think the better version is it Control. But
right. So Jeskai Control means it uses red, white, and blue
instead of the black for Esper.
Instead of for black for like Esper, and then is just red and blue.
Yep. which red and blue are typically or traditionally the the more powerful colors in Magic. And like I said, they got there's a lot of new cool stuff. I think I guess you want to go ahead and talk about some of the mechanics, the foretell. You think we should go ahead?
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the mechanics.
So we got before we get into the decks too deep, we did get some new mechanics with this set, and new, I guess, way they made cards. One of my favorites, it's super cool. It's growing on me. I thought it was kind of weird at first. Is the foretell mechanic. So with cards now, a good majority of them in Kaldheim have foretell now.
Foretell tends to be in blue and I believe white.
I think a lot of the cards, every color has at least a couple of cards that have that mechanic. And so you have a casting cost that you can pay that to play it as normal. But there is a alternate way to pay. You can say you've got 2 free mana and you have nothing else to do for your turn. You can you just sink that mana into the foretell part. You'll take the card from your hand and put it in exile, almost like a trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh! It's kind of like what I got going over here. And you can cast it on a later turn for a typically reduced cost, or it'll have an extra effect if it is foretold, which is really, really cool. I think it fits with the theme of the set as well.
Yeah, and just to kind of... So Magic also does a really good job on integrating their mechanics into the story. Mm-hmm. So essentially, foretelling is in Norse mythology. Mm-hmm. They had not really witches, or more like druids, who would be able to foretell the future, mm-hmm. and then that's how you get the story of Ragnarok, mm-hmm. which is really cool that they were able to implement it and how they implemented it. So essentially, by you paying the 2 mana or the 3 mana, you are saying that something's going to occur in the future. You don't know when, but you are letting your opponent know, hey, I am foretelling that this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. They don't know when, they don't know what, but then you pay the mana and then the foretold becomes true. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really cool. The other mechanic that they came out is also Boast. Now, Boast mm-hmm. is, again, very, very Viking-like, where they would go into battle, and then the reason why the Vikings were able to conquer as much as they were to conquer was because how they appeared to be savage to the people, because they were so about battle and they would boast in their fights mm-hmm. that it would just demoralize the rest of their enemies, which is hilarious. Well, not really hilarious, but it's interesting and funny how that works. Yeah. So in this mechanic, essentially Boast adds an additional effect to any triggered ability that they do. Majority of the times is they have to attack, mm-hmm. and by attacking, the Boast ability will be able to trigger, and it gives you an extra ability on top of what they would usually do.
Side note, with Boast, you can do it at any point after you've declared attack. Just a little pro tip.
Yeah, so you can attack and then Boast in the exact same declaration. You can do it in the main 2. You can do it in the end phase.
As long as the creature survives, that is.
Yep, as long as you attacked.
Yep.
So Boast, cool. It's usually in red. Mm-hmm. And I believe some black creatures have it.
There's a couple of white creatures that do too. Yep.
So some of the colors kind of bleed into each other, but Magic, again, because they create their sets based on draft. So a lot of specific color pairings have a specific mechanic that they kind of want you to wiggle yourself into in the draft environment. So that's the other one. We also have Poison making a comeback, which people absolutely hate Poison. Poison, essentially what it is if you get any creature that gets hit with Poison, instead of taking just regular damage, they get hit with
infect. That's infect. So Poison...
Oh, Poison doesn't work like infect? Mm-mm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
Scratch that, folks.
It's okay. So we have one card specifically, and I think it's cool how it pairs with Vorniclex. Basically, you has Death Touch is a 1/3, and hopefully, like I said, when we get this recording of them, we'll try to throw some of these cards on here so you guys can see what we're talking about. That's the plan. Anyway,
we're getting fancy, y'all.
We're getting fancy. So
fancy, huh?
It says when a creature with Death Touch would deal combat damage to a player, they get a poison counter. And actually, they get 2 poison counters.
Yeah, they get 2 poison counters instead. Yep. So if you reach 10 poison counters, you automatically lose.
Even if you still have, you could have 500 life. If you have 10 poison counters, game over.
You did.
So that, man, I feel like they're gonna put some infect in the next set,
I don't think they'll do infect,
or it'll be more
but
poison
they'll do
related.
more poison. Because people don't like infect. Hell, people don't like poison.
Yeah.
So, but I think they'll sprinkle it in, just like a little bit of dust.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. I have yet to lose to that card on Arena, mostly because the one game that I almost did, I scooped because I knew he had it. So I don't like to waste time when I play. If I'm in a very obvious losing situation, not that I won't play it out, but if like say someone's they've got lethal on board, I have no cards in hand. All right, scoop, let's get the next game. But that we'll talk about.
That's one of those things about making yourself a better player, whether to know when to scoop and when not to scoop.
Yep.
So that's going to be another topic for another day.
Yep.
We'll go more in depth about that. But that is a little bit foretelling about about how to be better about that. And the last mechanic, it's not really a mechanic, but it's kind of returning, would be the changelings.
Yes.
A good amount of changelings came back. Changelings essentially count as every creature type,
which is cool.
It's cool. It's more really for EDH and the tribal. This is a very tribal set as well. So tribal basically means creatures can have a type, and tribal just means that type has a lot of.
So like we have for Kaldheim specifically, we have a lot of giants,
elves,
a lot of elves, a lot of dwarves. A lot of berserkers in general.
Yeah. So those type of the mechanics kind of want you to make a deck around those types of creatures.
Yep.
So a tribal elf deck would be most of your creatures in your deck would be elves because they help each other out in some way.
Which they actually did make a black-green precon.
Which would be Golgari elf.
Yep. So that's something we haven't really seen a whole lot of. Traditionally, elves have been in green and white. We have had some black elves, but with Magic also does this thing where they're pushing Commander, and they release a pre-constructed Commander deck, which are out of the box playable for the most part.
Yeah, and then the green black elves is really cool. Golgari as a color in Commander is very, very interesting.
Yep.
Because it does the green things and then goes, pew, kill your stuff with black. And black and green is a very, very powerful combination.
Yep. And then speaking on those Commander decks, also releasing with Kaldheim, we had a blue and white foretell deck. So the Commander actually lets you foretell things for free.
For free.
Which is, if you know anything about Magic, free is really good.
All right, so talking about free, I'm pretty sure that's what this podcast is going to devolve to. What is a card that gives you free stuff in this set?
Free stuff.
Or in particular, one free card that costs more than you cast it for two, but it gives you a card
not free,
that's not
but boy, it's going to give you a lot more. All right. Tybalt's Trickery.
Let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh!
For starters, it's red.
1 mana and 1 red. It is 2 mana.
2 mana counterspell.
Counterspell.
In red.
Yep.
There's only been 2 other counterspells.
Pyroblast and
Red Elemental Blast. Which are specific to hosing blue, which means they're specifically made to counter blue.
Yep. And boy, this card is dumb. So the card is neat. I like the design. So basically, the way it works is it is an instant speed. You can cast it at
anytime.
At any time. It lets you. It says counter target spell. It's the spell's controller will mill 1, 2, or 3 cards at random, and then they will exile cards from the top of their deck until they hit a non-land card. Then they get to cast that card immediately without paying its mana cost. So, in theory, it's a pretty solid counterspell, especially if you have things like Teferi Time Raveler, Draenith Magistrate. You have these cards that say basically you can't cast cards at that time, or you can't put cast cards from exile or out of the deck or anywhere but your hand. However, what people are doing now is what exactly, Alex?
So instead of countering your opponent, they're countering their own free spells. So, combo. You play a card that costs 0 mana, something like
Tormod's Crypt. I think the Serpent, Stonecoil Serpent.
So you cast it for free, and then you have 2 mana open, particularly 1 red. You'll tap costs 2 mana, counter your own spell.
Mm-hmm.
You'll mill a random 1 to 3 cards, and then you'll reveal something that costs more than 2 mana.
And also is not the same name as the card you countered.
Yep. So you won't. So essentially, you won't play your 0-drop, hopefully, but you'll play something like Ugin, which is 7 mana, 8 mana, excuse me, something like Ugin, or you'll cast
Genesis Ultimatum,
which is also
which then nets you like 2 or 5 free cards.
Up to 5 free cards. So essentially, it's an engine that lets you get more free cards.
The way Magic generally constructs cards, they want you to play cards at a certain time. Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and they design the cards to be increasingly powerful the more mana that you have to spend on them. However, being able to play a 7, 8. You could play a 16 drop for that, for whatever. If it were in your deck, off of this combo early, I think it's a pretty big issue. I think currently as it stands,
and it's something that's 8 drop, 6, 9 drop, anything that's higher in those mana costs always are very impactful on the board. Because you had to spend so much mana and you had to wait so much time usually to cast them.
Yep.
So being able to cheat them out actually makes it really hard for your opponent to come back from.
Yep.
You're in a big disadvantage. Even if you have the 1-for-1, they will always get a benefit from it. So
now, granted, if you don't see the 2-card combo in your opening hand, which the worst part about this combo is that you can literally mulligan down. I mulliganed down to 2 cards the other day. Because I was like, this deck, this is not consistent. This is not real. I'm mulliganed down to 2 cards. It was Tybalt's Trickery and Stone Cold Serpent. I drew 2 lands off the top of my deck. Never punished. Cast a Genesis Ultimatum. Played Ugin. Played Yidro. The Wanderer or something. He's a 8/8 creature with trample and haste.
Is it the cycling guy?
He's the cycling guy,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Played him straight off of it and then like 3 lands. And what do? There's nothing. You can't do anything about that. Like, and the worst part about it is currently, at least for standard, modern. Not to say it could not potentially become a problem in modern, but some of the other formats where you have a larger card pool have answers for it earlier. You have things like Thoughtseize, Spell Pierce. There's any number of 1 mana no cards. But I really don't want to have to stick to just main deck and Duress. Like, that feels bad. To rip the combo out, because the deck doesn't do anything else. Like, if the deck does not make it to turn, it doesn't make it, do the combo on like turn 2 or 3, then it's waiting till turn 6, 7, 8 before it literally does anything else, and it has to draw lands and not big creatures or big spells to play. So this is the one kind of downside to it, I guess.
Yeah. So essentially, the reason why the deck is even a deck is because of the mulligan rule. And ironically, you kind of need mulligan in Magic because you have to play lands, which give you the mana to be able to play other cards. So if you have too many lands, you instantly lose. If you don't have enough lands, you almost instantly lose. So the mulligan mechanic is the reason why you're able to play a degenerate deck like Tybalt's Trickery, which I'm pretty sure the designers were not intending for people to counter their own spells.
Well, I think they kind of had it in mind, just in that. So the mill part, because you had to mill 1, 2, or 3 at random, you can't really you can't stack your deck. For example, like there are ways in Magic to manipulate the first couple of cards, but most things generally only deal with up to the top 3, and I think that's why. But I don't think they were thinking about it at like this level. Like, people were just gonna go, Tormod's Crypt, yeet. So,
which
and
is super funny, by the way.
It's
the ingenuity in people that make Magic decks always amazes me.
As soon as I saw that card, I was like, this is dumb. There's so many really fantastic cards in Kaldheim, and I think that the problem is, it's the same thing for like, they're like, somebody at Wizards was like, they're not really gonna actually try to make this a meta deck, are they? And then
answer is always yes.
The answer is always 100% is always going to be yes. I remember playing Dragon Ball Super and the same thing. So in that card game, you focus on, you have life.
But let's put this out there as well, though.
Yeah.
The Japanese play card games very, very differently
than we
than us in the United States.
Yeah.
We try to win as quickly and as fast as possible. The Japanese like to actually play a game.
Yeah.
Well, if we can force the opponent to not play, we will.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Because we're American.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a very American thing to do.
Yeah. So they released these decks, and they there was one card in particular. Just want to briefly touch on this. It's called a Mecha Frieza card, and so in the game you lose if you run out of life, right? And so overseas they play they don't want to lose they don't want to spend their life, they don't want to use their life, because that is their resource, is how they lose the game. Us on the other side over here in America, life? We're like, what's life? We're like, what was it? Is it energy and super?
Yeah, instead of mana, energy.
Yeah, energy. Yeah. We're just like energy machine go burr, and so that card would let you use your life as a resource to play cards instead of having to tap for essentially mana. And man, that deck was so dumb. Turn 2 again, you would just burn through your whole life playing all these cards, and then it would just be just a barrage that most at the time pretty much no deck could really deal with. And so then they're like, wait a minute, you guys are like actively hitting yourself to awaken and to do other stuff, and we're like, yeah, that's 100% what we're doing. And so yeah, I think that, sometimes the card designers are like,
they don't think in all aspects.
They could do that, but are they really going to do that? And again, 100% answer is always yes. We're always going to try to do some dumb combo or something. But anyway.
Which, by the way, also brings to another interesting topic we talk about resource and how different games use resource.
Yep.
Like, again, I tend to play Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, which doesn't have a resource, which is why a lot of people say that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is broken inherently, but I believe otherwise. So that'd be an interesting topic.
Yeah, I think the game mechanics, so you can't activate things if you can't fulfill them completely, I think is really interesting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because some things, if you try to most card games, you try to do as much as the card could say, and then if there's something it can't do, you're just like, oh, okay. But in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you actually cannot fulfill all the conditions of the card, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Or
which is actually really interesting, because when I started out and I started playing Magic, and then people would activate cards, and they're like, oh, I failed to search, but I can still activate the card. And I'm like, you can't activate the card. And they're like, yes, I can. Wait, what?
What? Yeah.
So you get to look through your deck for free?
Basically, yeah.
No, yeah, okay. Different topic for another day, but that's one of those things that it'd be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
So we talk about the trickery of Tybalt that allows you to play essentially 8 mana cost a card for 2 cards for 2 costs.
Yeah, so. That card is pretty ridiculous. It's not so we're all going to get to our top 5 and some specific
more
cards,
interesting specific cards that we like.
But I think that the Izzet / Jeskai deck is going to be really good. I think that's going to be probably the best deck
outside of Tybalt's.
Until that gets banned. I'm calling it now. I'm going to say within. How long did they let Oko go?
They let Oko go
a month?
No, they let it go for almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months.
Oko lasted a while.
So I think we get a month, if that.
You hear it here first, folks.
We're calling
exclusive.
It 4 weeks.
We're calling it
4 weeks.
4 weeks is going to get banned. This is day 1 of the set.
This is day 1 of this set.
Well, as of recording.
Yeah,
so if this takes us a little bit longer to post out, we recorded it first.
That's right.
You might hear it second, but you heard it first. Well, we recorded it first.
Yeah. Man, that's dude, they keep printing all these cards that are just way too powerful for standard, like Omnath and these other things.
Hear me out. But what if standard
didn't exist
anymore?
Man, I don't know. I'm trying to. It's such a frustrating topic.
Lately. So standard is particular
most recent sets.
It's the most recent sets. It's a format where you play with the last 2 years, essentially what it is, and then it rotates out. So meaning so you play with the last 2 sets, and then every year
there's cards leaving.
The last year leaves and gets replaced with the new year.
Yep.
So it's an ever evolving set, and essentially you kind of need a standard format for a card game, not because of the gameplay, but because
gives people reason to buy the cards.
Yeah, people need to buy the cards.
Yeah.
So if your only sets you're playing are the old sets and the new cards aren't as strong as the old sets, that's when you get power creep, which is actually ironic, which is still happening even though they're standard around.
Somehow we've power crept so far. And we're still not. They're still finding ways.
I love power creep. I think power creep is
even more
awesome.
Powerful.
I just don't think you should play standard if you're going to be power crept.
The last standard format I had a lot of fun with was Dominaria Standard. That's like 2017, I think.
Was Dominaria before Ixalan?
It was right after, or it was in the same block.
It was the same block as Ixalan.
Yeah.
But it was before Ixalan. After Ixalan.
It was after.
It was after.
So it was Ixalan Rivals, Dominaria,
and then Dominaria.
And then we had the guild set, War of the Spark.
Yep.
Oh man, with all those planeswalkers together, that was such. Man, that was so fun. That was the most fun. But the thing was, here's the thing, right? So as good as Esper Control was at the time, or playing planeswalkers, playing Control, you had mono red, you had mono blue tempo, you had so many different decks you could build and play, and actually would be good. You didn't just get narrowed into this, like most recent standard. I'm going to play Girl Aggro. I'm going to play Esper Doom, or I'm going to play, like Mill Control. That's it.
Just to let you know, Esper Doom sucks. That deck takes what Esper's supposed to be good at and just says yeet.
If they were to ban like 7 more cards, that would be the best deck in the format. I'm calling it here. They'd have to ban like 7 more cards, but
one of them being Embercleave. Which, by the way, I think Embercleave is my favorite card that has come out in recent years.
Embercleave is absolutely nuts. For those that don't know, Embercleave, I mean, if you're here with us this long, you may already know.
6 mana.
6 mana, but it can be reduced down to 2 red only. It is a legendary artifact that auto equips when it comes in, gives a creature +1/+1, double strike, and trample. So basically, you just swing with a Love Struck Beast or a Questing Beast.
So you swing with guys, and then you go play my net for 2, make my boy stronger. Did you block?
No, you lose.
You lose. Did you block? Oh, hey, you thought it was favorable trade? It wasn't.
I really hope Andrew, buddy of mine, Andrew, listens to this, because I was playing Girl Aggro against Esper Doom, actually, at the store.
No. What's worse about the story is that it was Andrew's deck.
It was Andrew's deck. It was also his deck. I was borrowing it because I didn't have one put together. And so I keep a 7 land hand. That is awful, because Girl Aggro wants to play things turn 1, turn 2,
Girl is green and red, by the way.
Green and red. And you basically that deck wants to just punch you in the face several times and win by like the first couple of turns, just by dealing direct or like attacking with creatures. So the downside is if Esper Doom gets to stick around too long, then they get Shadow of the Sky, basically board wipes that you can't come back from that. So 7 line hand, turn 1 played drew Love Strike Beast, played a 1/1 human off of its, which was also a neat mechanic at the time. Adventure, yes, from Throne of Eldraine. So make the 1/1 human, pass, swung with the 1/1 human, passed. My turn 3, I played the Love Struck Beast, and I'm playing a land every turn. Swung with the human again. So then my turn 4, played my 4th land. He's drawn some cards, he hasn't done a whole lot at this point. So I swing with the Love Strike Beast, which is a 5/5, and the 1/1 human. And he goes, no blocks, I guess I'm taking 6. I was like, before damage, to flash an Embercleave, and equipped it to...
No, take 14.
Yeah. He said, okay, I guess instead of taking 6, I'm going to 6 life. You have 20 life in Magic, and he was losing it rather rapidly, and that was pretty much... He didn't have the answer after that, but yeah, so that's kind of the standard format. And now, it'll be interesting to see things shake up. Like I said, I think that it's going to be some kind of blue-red deck. It's going to be the best deck. I've been playing around with...
No green?
I don't know if food hangs around this long.
Well, it doesn't have to be food.
I know,
also, we're not actually talking about food.
It's a mechanic, yeah. and I just don't think it's strong enough. Like I think Demir Rogues, I think Mill, that whole stuff. I think that hangs around for a while just because it's inherently just good.
It's better.
Yeah.
I think we'll see some type of green.
Man, I'd like to see some green. I like green decks.
There'll be something in green.
I'm gonna play Elf Tribal. I'm build Elf Tribal for standard too.
I don't know if that's good.
Go for it. It's not.
Go for
so
it.
yeah. So
I don't discourage it.
Yeah, I built mono black control. I built mono blue tempo as best I could. Oh, never mind. We'll get to that in the cards, like upcoming cards. Sorry, I was about to jump ahead. But yeah, that's kind of my meta choices, if you will. And you know, Temple Strickery, as long as it hangs around, I feel like while maybe not competitively viable for, like, say we do end up having events before too long again, I don't know that it's going to win you a tournament. But boy, is it like it's really frustrating to get like luck sacked by, which is basically just, that's what the deck is you get really lucky and you either just win or you lose. And decks like that are always a hot topic of discussion. So yeah.
All right, so enough with the trickery.
Enough with the trickery. Need to go over the cards now?
Yeah, let's go over the cards.
All right,
we'll talk about our favorite cards in the set.
Favorite commander that we would like to see out of the set.
Well, in all honesty, all my cards are for commander.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, no, I meant like commander as in the general.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Oh,
like, just as a whole, most of my cards, I look at them as, oh, that's neat for commander. I don't. I used to play a lot of standard, but then I personally feel like the last 2 years of standard have been pretty bad, so I don't enjoy standard as much. The last time I enjoyed standard was when I tried that mutate deck, and that was fun. And then I realized it was bad.
It was fun for like 2 days.
It was 2 days.
Mutating on a Skews form is fun still.
So, let's go with our favorite card. So there is a lot of cool things. A lot of the gods. So they create gods which are basic parallels of the Norse god.
First time we've had non-indestructible gods, I think.
No,
that I can remember.
The Amonkhet.
Oh, that's right.
They're indestructible. They're not indestructible. They have ways to come back.
Yeah.
So these gods are the first time that you can kill them and you can't get them back. But I think again that goes well with the lore, since in Kaldheim the gods actually like to pretend to be humans and they kind of live with the humans. So it makes sense that they could die, and then it's not easy for them to come back because they're not as omniscient as omnipotent.
Omnipotent.
There we go. That word he said, omnipotent. They're not as whatever as the other ones. So,
did you do yours by color or did you do top 5?
I did not do mine by color, but we can do it by color.
I just didn't know if you did like a. So I picked one from every color. I tried to pick one from every color.
Let's go up by color then.
Okay. Right. So
let's start with the best color, blue.
Best color, blue.
Okay, all right. The best color is green, but we're gonna do blue.
So my pick for just best over, not necessarily for standard, just my favorite card that I saw. While it was very close between this card and Saw It Coming, which is a foretell counterspell. You can actually foretell it for 2, and then you can cast it later for 1 and a blue, and it counters everything. Just counter target spell, which is super solid for 2 mana late. My favorite blue card from the set is actually Orvar the All Form. It's a legendary creature, shapeshifter, changeling, as we talked about before, 3/3. When you cast an instant or a sorcery spell, if it targets one or more permanents you control, you make a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, you also get to make a token that's a copy of target permanent. So there is a lot of discard in standard and in other formats. So if they make you discard it, you get to go, okay, I'm just going to make a copy of this for discarding. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool card. I like it. Is that what slot does that go? Is that a rare?
I think it is a. Let me see.
It's a mythic.
Yeah, it's a mythic. Yeah.
For my blue, I really like it. Mystic Reflection. It's a 1 blue and 1 colorless for an instant. It does have foretell for 1 blue. Essentially, you can choose target non-legendary creature. The next time 1 or more creatures or planeswalker into the battlefield this turn, the enter has copies of the chosen card or creature. Man, I like copies. I like
both
making,
of our things
yeah,
were literally copies.
I like making copies of other people's copies.
Yeah.
So hey, you play that big boy over there, I'm a copy it.
I'm gonna make that. That's gonna be mine.
So I enjoy those type of mechanics. So, and I really like the artwork because it's two sharks, and I like sharks, so it works out. It's not super flashy. It's just a cool little thing to do in Commander that'll be funny because when you do it, people will be upset.
Yep. So we'll go with green next because that's Alex's favorite color.
Man, there's so many things, but let's start with green. Easy Vorinclex.
Easy Vorinclex.
Easy Vorinclex. Okay, look, being able to duplicate your counters is amazing.
That's pretty good.
In Commander, having that as your commander that you can just play on turn 6, then cast a planeswalker, get double ultimate right away. Amazing, beautiful, love it. It can be in the 99. It can be in the command zone. No matter what you do, Vorinclex is the best.
Also, haste, trample, 6/6.
Look,
and
those are just upsides.
You forgot his best effect. If your opponent would get counters on stuff, you half it. So if they play a planeswalker, guess who's about to die?
Also, if you play a planeswalker and they have a +1 ability, you do not get the counter.
Really?
Yes, because you round down.
No. Didn't even think about that.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
All right. I'm still not changing my pick.
Vorinclex is beautiful. And everything else is just plus side.
Right.
Just the effect by itself is good. I could talk about Vorinclex for a solid 20 minutes. Go ahead.
So, my card was a rare. It's 2 green. It's In Search of Greatness.
Oh, that card's good too.
So it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, basically start of your turn, you can cast a permanent spell from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the highest converted mana cost among other permanents you control without paying its mana cost. If you don't, scry 1. So, again, we're
talking about free mana.
We're talking about free mana. We're talking about cheating cards out. Basically, if you got some big boy on the field, you got a bigger boy in your hand. Oh, he's 1 more mana. Guess what? Boom, free. You didn't spend any mana to play it. Man.
But I think is that for your? Do you think it'd be better in standard or commander?
Definitely commander. I think more than likely. Standard, I think. If you kind of built a deck around it, I think it could be pretty good. So I actually watched a.
It has to be upkeep, so it has to last a turn. So
it's a permanent though. It doesn't have to be a creature. So like
but it has to last a turn for its effect to trigger. But so it kind of gives the opponent a little bit of.
They get time to kind of answer it as an enchantment, but enchantments, artifacts traditionally a little harder to destroy than just plain out creatures.
Traditionally, they printed a blue card that can handle enchantments now.
Did they?
Or it's not a blue, black card.
Oh yeah. So
it's not
feed the swarm. Yeah, you're right.
Right. So I do think it's a good card. Shout out to the Command Zone who they just played a Kaldheim, and then one of the cards she played was that card.
I did watch that. Yeah.
It didn't do anything for her.
It did not.
But
she whiffed
tried
every time.
She tried. We go to black now.
Yeah, we can.
So
watch ours be the same on this one. I feel like it is.
Well, it's
the same card.
What's yours? Is yours Vlaki?
It is Vlaki.
I don't know if I count Vlaki as black though, because he's multicolored.
So he is multicolored, but his front side, his normal side is black. So I counted him as black. And also, he's kind of part of the face of the set. Too.
He is. I think I think on him I would have counted him as
like a red
multicolor.
Black. Yeah.
Oh no, maybe I would have counted him as black because I was going to go with the god, the black god.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the one that makes you mill and stuff.
No. I think she might have been multicolored. So never mind. Let's stick to Vlaki. Okay. Go ahead and talk to Vlaki.
Urvalki, God of Lies. It is a 2/1 legendary creature. When it's a battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile creature card they reveal this way until he leaves the battlefield. You can pay X. Choose a creature card exiled with Valky with converted mana cost X. It becomes a copy of that card, which is insane. But then
that flip side.
There is a flip side. So another thing that was introduced with Zendikar, and we have this now.
Well, it originally got introduced in Innistrad.
Or Innistrad. But like I mean like the modal dual face
Yeah, the
cards where
modal.
you can
Yeah,
cast either side.
modal was introduced in Zendikar Rising,
Yeah.
but as a whole,
But yeah.
double face got
Yeah.
introduced in Innistrad.
So the other option, for 5, a black and a red, you can cast Tybalt Cosmic Imposter. Turns out, it's all Tybalt all the time. As it enters the battlefield, you get an emblem that says you can cast cards, or you may play cards exiled with Tybalt Cosmic Imposter. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them. +2, exile a card to each player's library. -3, exile a target artifact or creature. Or -8, exile all cards from all graves, add triple red.
Essentially, it gives you free mana, more free mana, free cards.
Yeah, free cards and exile. Like, it does everything you want to do in a Planeswalker.
Not only that, it does it in 2 colors that doesn't tend to get that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, black gets a lot of draw, but red doesn't get that a lot. So I think it's really cool.
I think the first time somebody plays the front side off of Luris, and then they flip to the back side as they're casting it, I'm gonna just log out of my account. Nobody's done it yet, but I know it's coming.
Also, did you know, in Commander, if you cascade it, so if you hit cascade, if you play, so let's say you play a creature with 3 costs and you cascade, you go through your deck until you can cast something of 2 or less. If you cascade into Valaki, you can actually cast the Planeswalker for free.
Yeah.
Which is nudie. That's probably something I would want to do in Commander. But yes, for me, the black card was actually going to be Turgid, God of Fright. Because I think she's a really good commander for mono black.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, when an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you can put that from the graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So people already hate discarding and sacrifices, and that's all black does. So, hey, I'm going to make you sacrifice a creature. Hey, it's my critter now. Same thing with discarding. You discard their hand. Those cards are mine. Upside. And she has Menace. She can turn around onto a Lantern, but the Lantern sucks. So we're not talking about the Lantern. Just the front side. For 5 mana, 2 black. It's a really good black card.
That's pretty good. Let's see. So we'll do red. Mine is Burgi, God of Storytelling.
Oh, she's good.
So, Legendary Creature God, 3/3. When you cast a spell, add 1 red mana. Until the end of the turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases in. Creatures you can control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. You don't care about that part. You don't care about that part. That is absolutely insane.
Again, more free mana.
Yep. So you cast a 1 mana red cantrip that draws you a card. Guess what? It was completely free. She doesn't make a red mana. You're going to draw a card. I've toyed around with an idea for a deck that abused that ability between that and the Goldspan Dragon, which is
the dragon that gives you a treasure every time it's started.
When it's targeted or when it attacks, and then treasures count for 2 mana. So I was like trying some ideas with cantrips that targeted, Defiant Strike, target it,
which is white.
Yep, card. Which is a white instant. You target it, you make a treasure, and you draw a card, and she will also get you a red if they're both on the field. So you +2 on mana and draw a card. So I was trying to find out what I would even do. Like, am
infinite mana?
Well, you don't make infinite because you have to cantrip a lot to make a lot of mana. So I don't think an X-Spell would do it. But like if there was some, maybe Thassa's Oracle or something. Like you end on that. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Some Izzet form. But
that'd be interesting.
She does have a backside also for 4 in a red. Yeah, Hornfell, Horn of Bounty. Yeah. This card also insane. Discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. So if you hit lands, if you hit anything else, it also goes into the cantrip thing that's about for that deck. Is that you can discard a land, exile 2 more cards. You can keep playing stuff through your deck. But
so essentially, if you have extra Burgies, the second copy isn't dead.
Yep, that's also the cool thing about the flip cards. But what's your red card?
Mine is Toralf.
Okay.
God of Fury, which is basically Thor. So from now on, I shall call him Thor.
He is now Thor.
So Thor essentially is 4 mana, 2 red, trample. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Thor deals damage equal to the excess to any other permanent. All right. Again, this is for commander. Imagine having Thor out, and then a bunch of creatures on the board. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be yours. It can be your opponent. And then for 1 mana, you cast Blasphemous Act. Blasphemous Act does 13 damage to everything on the board. Thor will die. Who cares if Thor dies? Because Thor still sees the excess damage. So all of a sudden, you killed 10 creatures, and they were all 2/2s, 1/1s. All that excess damage, you can redirect it to each opponent.
That's awful.
So now you just killed everybody with Thor, and it wasn't even attacking.
And you only spent 1 red mana to do it.
You only spent 1 mana to do it. And then you can equip Thor with Death Touch, like give him Death Touch. And then if you cast Lightning Bolt, you hit something that's a 1/1, you Lightning Bolt it, and now it's 2 excess damage. Thor now only requires 1 damage to kill anything. Because it has Death Touch. So now you can kill like Ulamog, kill it, and you can still do the 1 damage to something else. Yeah. So I think it's a really cool commander for red. Mono red kind of that doesn't suck, but it's kind of it's a little bit harder to do. But if I were to make a commander deck again, I totally would make Thor. He also has Mjolnir on the back, but Mjolnir kind of sucks. So we're just talking about Thor.
We're just talking about Thor. And then white. So my pick for white, Doomscar. So Doomscar is I think it's 5 mana. Destroy all creatures, but you can foretell it, and then the foretell cost is 2 white and 1 colorless. I love control. I love things that say destroy all creatures, because I don't like playing creatures unless I'm playing a tribal deck or something, just having fun. But competitively speaking, I man, what a nice Wrath that we got in that card. But you, Alex.
I feel a bit some type of way about white, because I don't feel like there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened to white. But I do enjoy the Valkyries because they're angels. But I agree with you. I think Doomscar is probably the best card that they came out with for them. Destroy all creatures is really nice. If it was instant speed though.
Oh man, we don't. That'd be
3 mana destroy all creatures.
That would be
beautiful.
insane.
I think that's what they should have done.
That card would be a mythic. That'd be a hard mythic.
But you know what? It's good.
Yeah.
Being able to just have a board wipe at turn 3. You can foretell it turn 2, turn 3, play it to destroy the creatures when you're playing against aggro. It makes it it's really good.
It makes your opponent really have to kind of play around that, especially if you. Because so the cool thing about foretell is when you foretell a card, your opponent does not get to see what that card is.
Yeah, but they know you foretold.
So then it's, did they foretell the Doomscar? Do I put a lot of resources on the board right now? Do I hold back? So it makes aggro and like decks that want to board spam have to kind of like think a little bit and be like, am I running into it a turn early? Because most people expect Shadow of the Sky on 4. Like you're playing against Esper Doom or whatever, and some other white deck, you're expecting that, but
Doomscar gives you that extra. Okay, turn 3 I can get Wrath. Turn 4 I can get Wrath. Turn 5 I can get Wrath.
Yeah.
So do I flood the board, or do I just play 1 creature?
Yeah. At what point do I kind of push the thing?
I also want to put a spotlight on the worst card this set.
What's that?
Divine Gambit. Okay, hear me out. 2 white pips. Sorcery. Exile target artifact, creature, enchantment, and opponent controls. That player may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Why?
What if they're hellbent? What if they have no cards in their hand?
But why? White sucks in colors. Their best white removal is Source to Plowshares and Path to Exile.
Yep. That's a terrible commander card.
Black, for 2 mana, can just destroy things.
Yep.
But no, if white wants to exile something, you get an upside.
Yeah.
Worst card. I hate what they do to white. White is not my favorite color, but I like it a lot as a secondary or even a tertiary color. It adds a little bit more, but you only play white for like 3 cards. My favorite card in white is Smothering Tithes. Why can't I get an exile card for white? It's gonna be a theme, guys. Every time we talk about Magic, I'm gonna see why does white is upsetting.
Support. All right, and then for the last, which I think you may have already touched on yours, was the most interesting or coolest commander out of the set card that you can actually use as your commander in EDH, And for me, it is actually a Rakdos commander, Carter Doomscourge. So he's a 4/3, and when he enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able, and they have to attack a player other than you if able. Also,
That's
when
cool.
when an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So it's kind of like if you have a way to like kind of kill him and then bring him back over and over again, like every turn your opponents are having to like they're having to hit everybody else but you. Like we haven't really seen that in like a Rakdos color. Like basically it's not stacks, but like just kind of making your opponents to stay away from you. Yeah. Which is, man, it's pretty cool. I think it's very interesting.
So design. We talked about mine, but I also want to spotlight another one. Jorn, God of Winter, or how I like to call it, Jon Snow.
Jon
Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
That's Jon Snow. That card's so cool.
So just in Commander, just being able, he gives you 3 colors. It's Sultai, which is black, green, blue.
Mm-hmm.
So having those 3 colors, which are green's already really strong. Blue gives you the counterspells. Black gives you destruction. Really, really good color combination. And him just being able to untap all your snow permanents. So you have not infinite, but you always have double mana.
Snow permanents, not just snow lands.
So it actually untaps itself.
Yep.
So it basically has pseudo vigilance.
It's crazy.
He's good, man.
It's crazy.
Good. I like him.
You get double mana every turn.
I like Sultai is one of my favorite combos in Commander, just because Sultai just says draw a lot, say no to your opponent. It's a control. It's a control, and Sultai's more control in Commander than any other color. But I like it.
Yeah.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Only good season. After that, it gets worse.
I'll be honest. I never watched Game of Thrones.
Oh my gosh! I wish I was in your spot.
I watched part of the first episode, and then I watched half of the last episode, and that was it.
I wish I hadn't. I spent so many years, so many
hours watching that series,
thinking, talking, looking. Disappointment.
Yeah. But yeah. So this is the Kaldheim episode. We kind of touched on some of the mechanics, some of the cards we really like.
How's the meta shaping up?
How the meta is kind of taking form. It's still early. Like I said, date of recording is literally release day. The meta sometimes gets solved a little quicker just because of things like Arena. There's no events going on. You're not traveling to WP&Qs and PBQs and all that stuff.
All the Qs.
All these big Magic events. So you get a lot, but you get a lot more data a lot faster, I think, with Arena, because you can just knock out game after game after game. But I do recommend, if it is safe, if you are able, and if your local laws allow it, do try to, again, as long as it's being safe, I'm not trying to anybody to put any lives at risk. Try to, if you've got some friends you trust, try to hang out, play some of these new cards. I know some stores are doing drafts and things for Kaldheim. Again, we touched on our favorite formats limited, besides like Commander and stuff. I do recommend you guys try some of these new cards out.
Support your local LGS.
Support your local LGS. Another shout out to Gamers Alley. That's where we regularly buy cards and play and things and stuff. So
yeah, we definitely recommend, if you have, like you said, you have a couple buddies, buy a box. Split it between everybody. Yeah. Draft with you guys, with yourself, or do a sealed with you within your group.
It's
and then whatever cards you guys have, you use it for Commander or Standard.
I think Kaldheim might be. So same as standard formats. Like you have draft formats, and each set has its own like feel to drafting it. And man, this is a lot of fun to draft because you can go so many different ways.
I haven't been able to draft this one, but it looks fun.
But yeah, it is. I'm gonna be honest, man. Taking Elf Tribal was really fun. That last draft I did. Just black green elves. That's actually gonna be my next. I'm actually gonna buy the precon today. The black green one, the Elf Tribal, and start upgrading it a little bit. Because man, being able to tap 10 elves and just deal 10 life to everybody,
it's pretty good
simultaneously. Like they didn't have to have haste. They just boop, 10 life.
So, well, yeah. So that was the Kaldheim episode. Hope everybody enjoys it. Let us know what your favorite cards are. Leave a comment on that video below.
Yeah.
Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Any other conversations you guys have. We might give you a shout out for giving us a topic.
Yeah. And we appreciate all the love and support on the first episode. We've got quite a few comments, a lot of new subscribers. I think 16 at the time of recording. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We appreciate it on the first one. We love the support, guys. Appreciate it again.
Every single person, you guys all mean a little something to us. And I said, just keep listening and keep doing well. Yeah.
So if you guys can, please leave a like, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And again, leave a comment. And you guys could share these. Let everybody else know what we're doing. Yeah. Support us. And we really appreciate that again.
Yep.
And that's the Cardboard Champs Podcast. This is Alex.
This is Adam.
And we're signing out.